Hi there, and welcome back to the HQ. Today, we are going to be reacting to the bizarre lore of Team Fortress 2 by Chupo. I assume that's how it's pronounced. Chupo, Chapo, something like that. Now, as you might know, I watched the Meet the Team video about a month ago, something like that. And outside of that, I don't know anything about Team Fortress 2. I've never played it. The only reason I have it installed is because I needed it for Gary's mod. So, I would like to know more about Team Fortress 2. So, I say we go ahead and jump in and learn all about it. Well, let's get in there and learn about it together, shall we?
Team Fortress has remained one of the most well-known and popular FPS series for decades at this point. And during all this time, a story has been built that somehow makes sense in the end. So join me as I go over...
Somehow makes sense in the end? That makes me feel like it's not going to make any at all sense, huh? I mean, I know Team Fortress 2 as, like, the first hero shooter. Like, one of the first hero shooters. Because it's, like, the one that comes to mind whenever you think hero shooter. At least when you're old like me, when you're an old head who's been around on the internet since I have. Nowadays, people think Overwatch. Or even younger people think Marvel Rivals as your hero shooter. Nobody thinks Highguard, though. But yeah, Team Fortress 2 is like the original hero shooter. Or Team Fortress. I don't know. I don't know much about that one either.
For everything you need to know about this universe. Hi everybody, I'm here on a rooftop. You know, I'm just in a chaotic mood, pouring water and dropping loose change on pedestrians, blinding pilots with this magnifying glass.
What?
And of course, who can forget about cutting ropes that are lifting grand pianos up multiple stories for some reason. So
why
Team
would
Fortress
you?
2, TF2,
Why
whatever
would
you want to call
you?
it. Surprisingly coherent story. The best way to describe it is as chaotic, and you'll see that in about 30 seconds, I would
Well, this is already a pretty chaotic intro. So, can it really get more chaotic?
say. So Team Fortress takes place on an alternate version of Earth with a few major differences. A majority of gameplay occurs in New Mexico, but before I'm actually able to explain why that is, first we gotta take a look at the centuries of history before any modern mercenaries fight each other. Let's start off between the 1500s to the 1800s.
It really goes that deep.
Many historical figures do about what they normally do, but they get a little bit wackier with it. Most US presidents in this story slept near gas leaks, and everyone else took a swig of the silly juice. Like, to give an idea, hats are a sign of wealth with a caste system. In real
Hats equal wealth. I mean, I guess something has to equal wealth.
World figures like William Prescott would shoot poor people to decrease the ratio of people without hats. Compared to some of the other stuff down the line, this is nothing. First up, let's say hello to Shakespeareacles, the strongest writer who's ever lived. Not only was he a literary genius, but he was also just a regular genius, inventing the stage play, the rocket jumper, and America.
He invented America and rocket jumping. That's two incredibly specific, very different things. You know, or maybe they're pretty similar. I mean, America is crazy. But you know.
His downfall comes when he invents the multiple-story building, but not stairs. Up to this point, stairs never existed, and they won't for a very long time. So the only...
How do you have multi-story buildings with no stairs?
The way folks would go up the stories was through rocket jumping, which is the process of jumping as you shoot a rocket from a rocket launcher, propelling yourself upwards. This becomes about as ordinary as skateboarding, where a lot of people know how to do it, but it's really scary when you get into it.
Rocket jumping is just like the regular form of vertical movement in this universe. Nope. That makes perfect sense.
Then a 200-year gap happens where everything's roughly the same, but also not really. The Revolutionary War for America, the Boston Tea Party, all that stuff happens in America. But George Washington considers himself a failure for never being able to become invisible.
Huh? That is incredibly specific. That is incredibly specific. What do you mean? He, like, felt like a failure because he never became invisible. Is he, like, trying to do, like, some Sanji shit? Is he trying to, like, turn invisible so he can peep in the girls' bathrooms or something? I'm watching you, man.
And military officer Benedict Arnold commits the crime of refusing to eat soup offered to him. In 1788, a man named Nicholas Crowder is among the first people to leave Britain and head to Australia. Partway, though, he changes his mind and moves to the South Pole, then making a deal with...
Why does he change Why does he go from Australia to Antarctica? That's a pretty drastic change.
The foreign mafia and taking over both poles, somehow gaining mythical powers, thus beginning the horrors of Old Nick, who, unlike Santa, abducts naughty children to make them cool weapons and hats that he would eventually sell in a get-rich-quick scheme.
Of course, he reneges on going to Australia to instead go to Antarctica, somehow takes over the North and South Poles from Antarctica, becomes like a mythical wizard, and then immediately gets into a Ponzi scheme. God damn it.
So he's like a 3 out of 10 Santa. Then in 1822, a businessman
something about Lego
sound
effects is just hilarious.
Loses his wife when she gives birth to triplets. Now the first two he names Redmond and Plutarch, and they grow up to become stupid idiots who are dumb idiots. They're dumb and stupid, and their BMIs are higher than their IQ.
Wow. How can you be that stupid? Dummies?
Now, the third son is completely different, hyper-intelligent, invented a new form of algebra. At this age, he can already talk. As the father plans to smother him to death, an eagle swoops in and takes him his food. This is a problem at the time. Now, Gray is actually going to survive this instance. When dropped off to the eagle nest, he kills the mother eagle along with her babies before crawling back to civilization and using his intellect to grow an empire. 28 years old.
That is a vicious baby.
Then pass, and in 1850, Redmond and Plutarch, now working in Manco with Zephariah, convinces him to purchase a shit ton of land in New Mexico. Unfortunately,
here's where New Mexico comes
having as many brain cells as I have eyelashes, it turns out all of this land is going to end up being useless desert and nothing more than the gravel capital of the world. And then all of a sudden, Zephariah frickin' dies and stuff. He has unfinished business.
Bozo, I guess.
He's going to be stuck on Earth forever. Heaven and hell exist in this story, by the way. Now, Zeph is a bit salty about spending his final years with all this useless desert space, so on his will, he gives his friend Barnabas Hale the company of Manco, he gives his assistant Elizabeth the company to watch over, and he gives his two sons...
Oh yeah, another signifier. She got the wealth too. Well, she got the wealth, because that was very weird for a second. I got confused, because it's like, he said he gave Barnabas Hale the company, and then gave his assistant Elizabeth the company, and it's like, are you sure about that? But no. So, okay, so keeping track. Barnabas Hale got the company. And Elizabeth got the money. Okay.
The useless land perfectly equally, where the bros are gonna keep fighting over it for the rest of their lives.
They got
and beginning
the land.
Will be known as the Gravel Wars. So then they each hire mercenaries to fight over the land indefinitely. The first batch of mercs includes a few folks like Nikola Tesla, and this guy, he looks neat, but most importantly, Abraham Lincoln as the Team Pyro.
Why specifically the Team Pyro? Why Abraham Lincoln? God. I figured TF2 lore was going to be kind of nutty. I didn't expect it to be this nutty.
1857, Abraham Lincoln finally invents stairs and dies
trying
in the middle of rocket jumping to his stairs in his lab in the Ford Theater, where John Wilkes Booth, known for his Tower of Hats, also assassinates him, wanting to get the top hat. In my opinion, Lincoln's death is the third most embarrassing way to die, right outside of forgetting to drink water and smoking. This tragedy...
Of course, they changed the lore to make John Wilkes Booth a hat collector.
Scares all scholars enough to where they agree to never invent anything ever again, instead opting to learn exclusively astrology. Now, by this time, the son of Barnabas Hale, Bilius Hale, has taken his father's position and proceeds to beat the shit out of John Wilkes Booth as he holds him down, letting the public take turns shooting the criminal in a public execution. This is also around the time where the most valuable resource is discovered, something objectively more powerful than gold and oil combined. Australium, named after the country it was founded in. Australium can easily change states
Vibranium?
matter and is absurdly valuable. By the start of the 20th century, they already attained an advanced country by our standards. And it's basically vibranium, but instead of being given to a mostly peaceful and pretty cool bunch of people, it's given to Australia.
Oh, good lord. Good heavens, no.
Good lord, everyone else is in danger
Oh,
now. Just
no.
by being exposed to the materials, the Australians all get giant muscles, majestic facial hair, and become obsessed with drinking
Even
and
the
fighting.
ladies
This shit's
get
laced with
majestic
testosterone.
mustache.
When the Australian will run out, so will everyone's abilities. So it's
Oh, that's
really
not
important
good.
that doesn't happen. Otherwise, the Australians become squishy baby humans again. But not really, because like the
become,
outback
like...
is scary, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And even though he's not...
Yeah, like, you will never catch me setting foot in Australia. Like, I have some friends who live there, and I'd love to see them sometime. But at the same time, I really don't have a desire to come face to face with, like, a 3-foot tall spider. Like, something out of, like, 8-legged freaks. Like, if you know what, like, movie I'm talking about, I could, like, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, I could never genuinely, like, spiders, snakes, big old bugs, things like that. I could never step foot on a continent with that kind of, like, destructive wildlife. Like, like, for real, dog.
Not alive until the mid-1900s, Saxton Hale is the exception. Even though he is Australian, he doesn't lose his abilities. Maybe he fell into a pot of it as a baby. Maybe he worked so hard to give his...
Did he have... Is his fucking chest hair in the shape of Australia? He really is the most Australian man to ever Australia. Oh my god.
Abs, he's immune. Or maybe it's because he's Saxton frickin' Hale. Does it matter? 1890 is when another era occurs. Redmond and Plutarch have been fighting
Saxton
for 40 years at this point,
Hale.
with no progress on either side. They both have agreed whoever dies first loses. And as the brothers near
that's
old
a
age,
pretty,
Plutarch gets
pretty
the
valid
idea
way
to
to
simply
decide
outlive
the
Red
game.
and hires Radigan Conacher to make him an immortality machine that runs on liquid Australium, capable of keeping him alive for seemingly until Australium runs out. However, Elizabeth's still working for Manco
pretty
for some
convenient
reason,
way.
hires Radigan to give Redmond the same machine, thus making the endless battle become super duper.
So it's completely pointless then, because they just both have the same perpetual life machines now. So they're just gonna live forever off this Australium and hate each other for all time.
Endless. This means nothing. The brothers are still at the same point. In 1921, the staircase saga finally comes to an end when American President Franklin D. Roosevelt loses his legs in a rocket jump disaster, and he gets so peeved how not wheelchair accessible America is, he stumbles upon Abraham Lincoln's notes and finally invents the proper staircase. In the
Hold on. If he's trying to make the world wheelchair accessible, why is he going to invent stairs? Why doesn't he invent wheelchair ramps?
1930s through the mid-1960s, a lot is going to start happening. Now, you might notice there's actually a number next to the word Team Fortress.
Yeah?
This number is controversially known as a 2. In this case, it implies that there is a second Team Fortress, meaning that chances are there might just be another Team Fortress game. That's what happens in the 1930s. Team Fortress Classic takes place during this time. And guess what? This means nothing. Nothing changes. The war is the same.
It means
but
nothing.
It happened. It's around this time that Saxton will finally inherit Manco. He makes hats and weapons and all this stuff the brothers used to fight, quickly growing to become one of the richest men in America and hunting down all of those ahead of him.
He just hunts down his competition and beats them up. Okay. I mean, I wish he would beat up certain billionaires we have today. Lord knows we could use a figure like Saxton Hale right about now.
In his free time, he's gonna get a girlfriend named Maggie and hunt down any powerful animals he can find, thus making many species go extinct. This creates a lifelong rivalry with his old teacher, Charles Darwin, the inventor of the zoo and the protector of all wildlife, who saves animals from Saxton's Australianness. In this period, so much happens. Mercenaries swap out or die or retire, and all of that. The fight's going, but there still is one more thing worth noting. It's unknown what actually happens to Elizabeth, but the mantle is given to her granddaughter, Helen, more commonly known as the administrator. She's gonna hire an assistant that goes by Miss Pauling, and just like her grandma, the administrator is pushing for perfect neutrality, preventing either side from knowing that it's rigged from the start, really prohibiting any sort of advancements. And you can also tell
that makes sense.
She's wearing purple, and purple is between red and blue.
Oh yeah, very good hood eye for color theory. Because you have the red side and the blue side, and then the purple pulling the strings between them. We saw the same thing in Red versus Blue with the introduction of Doc, the purple guy, in between the red team and the blue team, serving both sides as field medic, until he got possessed by an evil AI. You know, your typical Tuesday night.
It's now 1967, and we are finally at TF2. Good old TF2.
So
the
TF2 takes place in the 60s then.
And hasn't been updated for half of it. On one hand, these characters have a lot of complexity and things going on in their lives, but at the same time, they're doing exactly what the mercs have always been paid to do. Fight for red or fight for blue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Apple exists already? Sure. It's...
Apple already exists in this fictional 1967. Wow. I guess in this universe, Steve Jobs is really ahead of the curve.
Very pick and choosy what occurs here. There are 18 mercs in TF2, 9 per side. It's unknown if they're all doppelgangers or why they get killed all the time on camera, but...
Based off this kind of level of technology, I'm just guessing that they're clones and they have, like, respawn machines. I'm just guessing or something like that. I don't know. I can only guess either clones or respawn machines or something like that. That's all I can really guess, because, like, there's clearly Red Spy and Blue Spy here look pretty much identical. And on both sides, the characters just look the same, so there has to be some kind of clone shenanigans or something like that. I have no idea. Is that ever explained why they look the same? I don't know, maybe he'll get into it.
Continue to respawn. Answering both of these questions, the former, I have no idea. The latter, there's immortality machines. Is it really that hard to believe that there could be, like, respawns in a controlled area? The point is, as long as these 18 mercs are fighting, nothing will change.
I guess that makes sense.
They're doing a 9 to 5 where they kill each other. And I actually don't need to introduce all 18 mercs. Due to circumstances I'll get into, Miss Pauling actually develops a significantly stronger relationship with the red team. And as such, when things happen, we spend way more time with the red team. Meaning that as a result, we know way more about them, and they're far more prominent. That's not to say that blue team's useless, but roughly 90% of all the team-specific moments go to red. For example, one of the locations the team usually fights in is Two Fort, and as a PR stunt, the administrator hired a filmmaker to market the mercenaries on red to justify all of the fighting in the local populace.
Oh, is that what the Meet the Team is? It's this bit. It's them like doing like marketing campaigns for the mercs. Huh. Interesting.
And this ends up working pretty quickly, also in part because the town water supply has been riddled with lead on account of, well, you know. Oh, by the way, the whole stunt leads to the film guy's death. It's used as a warning to keep everyone, like, not sharing their information. The administrator is not the type of boss who has casual Fridays.
That guy.
Like, to give an idea, Heavy and Pyro go to her firsthand and ask for weapons, and her first instinct is to blow everybody up. So let's start off with the more simple mercs and work our way up.
That's a little pragmatic.
Basically, who's the mascot man? The Heavy. A Russian man named
Heavy
Misha,
weapons
whose
guy.
family got sent to Siberia camps in 1941 when his father was part of the USSR counter-revolutions. After 3 months here, he leads his family out into the Siberian mountains where they hunt bears. Heavy does a bunch of stuff for his folks, yet he still finds time for his own passions and relationships. He gets a PhD in Russian literature, he likes sandwiches, and he especially...
Wow. Heavy is that smart. I mean, he says in his own thing that some people may outsmart him, but no. If he has a PhD in Russian literature, he has to be pretty damn smart.
cares for the team medic. Heavy's gonna remain this stoic and wise friendly pal who does in fact have a kill count that reaches the triple digits. Next,
I can
Sniper,
suspect.
I can He's an Australian and pisses more than 8 people combined. That's an insane drop-off between people. His parents aren't all too jazzed about him being an assassin, with them calling him a crazy gunman.
Yeah,
He's
as we figured from his video.
He's probably the most normal. He just comes in,
I
does
gathered
his job,
that much,
and leaves. Scout's real name is Jeremy. He's a Boston boy and the youngest of 8 brothers. Illiterate, egotistical.
Jeremy. the Germa connections continue, huh? Oh my god. Hi, Vomi. Welcome to the chat.
But at the very least, a quickster. And because of all the time he
is
spent with Miss
quick.
Pauling, he got a little crushy crush on her. Now,
Miss
Spy's
Pauling
a French
is
guy
cute.
Who may or may not be the father of Scout. Actually, he is. It's pretty much confirmed. Red Spy specifically
so he
is the dad of both Scouts,
dad.
actually. He did both of the Scouts' moms last night. How embarrassing. Ooh. Now, here's a fun little fact. In Meet the Spy, the Red Spy is disguised before the Blue Sky shot between the eyes. He's acting as Scout, pretending to cry as the Red Spy got between his mom's thighs. Knees weak, arms are heavy. Slather myself in spaghetti. He's just shocked because someone actually, like, got pictures of him doing someone's mom.
My god.
That's a normal thing in this field of work. Ludwig, aka Mr. Medic,
Ludwig
has no doctorate, never went to school, and had his medical license revoked when a patient's skeleton went missing, but at least he has a pigeon named Archimedes.
How did he become a doctor if he has no medical school knowledge? How did he do that?
In a room full of psychopaths, Medic shines upon them and will prioritize exclusively his own goals. I think the engineer is the most vague. Red and blue Engies are both related. Red Engie, Del Conacher, has 11 PhDs, has innovated the immortality machines, and out of everyone, I think he's the one not showing his cards, in part due to how powerful his knowledge is compared to everyone else, even Medic. Travis Finnegan de Groot, better known as Demoman, is a Scottish hyper-alcoholic cyclops. He comes from a rich family to associate success with the amount of jobs worked. Demo, for example, earned 7 figures through 3 jobs, and his father worked 26 at one point.
You could never catch me working 26 jobs. Or 3 jobs, really. I work 1 job, I make decent money from that, and I'm satisfied with that. You could never catch me working that kind of job. Holy shit.
It's tradition for the de Groots to be up for adoption when young. He was only taken in when he blew up his adoptive parents and the Loch Ness Monster at the same time. One Halloween, he's offered a job to clean a library for a single nickel by a wizard. Yes. A wizard named Marasmus, a wizard, 6,000-year-old figure. The only rule Demo has to follow is not open any of the books. So Demo opens the book, now he has a haunted eye socket. Whatever, dude. Holy hot!
He has a haunted eye socket? Is that why he wears an eye patch? Because his eye socket's haunted?
Dogs, what the frick frack snick snack do I say about Soldier? Very stupid, master of war, master of rocket jumping, drinks so much lead water Flint, Michigan would have a drought. He's a lawyer, a patriot, and probably sleeps in a running washing machine.
He's a lawyer?
He wanted to fight in World War II, got rejected by every military branch, went to Poland himself, and went on a massive rampage until he heard about the war ending in 1949. Reminder, World War II ends in 1945. He very likely removed a small country's worth of men from the population.
Oh. God, that reminds me of the story of, like, the Japanese soldier, and I can't remember where it was, but it was a island. I think it was, like, off the coast of China or Korea, or it was somewhere in, like, Central or Eastern Asia, somewhere. I cannot remember off the top of my head exactly where, but it was this Japanese soldier who refused to give up the fight or give up his post until his commanding officer officially relieved him from duty, and it didn't happen until like 1962. I don't know why that reminds me of that, but it just does.
And then there's Pyro. I don't know. They're my favorite. Pyro and Heavy are my favorites to play. They make me feel like the best player in the whole wide world. We don't know anything about
perfectly
Pyro.
valid.
They're just happy to be here. I like all these characters,
That's
though.
perfectly valid. Just to play what you like.
Despite the millions of deaths they've suffered by the player base, I'm glad a respawn machine prohibits that whole death thing from actually happening. Maybe
I wish we had
makes
respawn
the mercs
machines.
forget that they died or something.
Respawn machines would be so cool right now. That'd be really cool to have. Somebody should get on that. You know, hey, Elon, instead of using your money for stupid bullshit, why don't you do it for cool stuff like that? Instead of trying to subvert a democratic election, why don't you do cool stuff with it? Like make cool respawn machines. Or stuff like that.
I'm not so sure. What I do know is that the administrator and Miss Pauling do not want either side being friendly with each other, nor do they want
that's
progress
valid.
on Red or Blue's end.
Yeah, like, it seems like the administrator wants to have some kind of perfect balance, like some kind of Thanos thing going on. So it makes sense to not want, like, collusion between the two sides, so they're just perpetually at odds with each other.
Again, they wear purple. Like at one
Yeah,
point, Red Demo and
the
Blue Soldier
purple
become
girl.
best friends and seemingly are gonna refuse to kill each other and maybe talk about their jobs and maybe
Oh.
even talk about their contracts. The
Well, that's not
possibility of
good.
this alone makes the administrator force upon them a friendship divorce. But Saxton, on the other hand, he's the cool boss in the office. His office desk is a grill. That's badass. Saxton invented the
grill
internet and buys
desk?
all of Europe. He found the Yeti species.
Grill desk sounds actually pretty cool, dude. Imagine just being able to work at your desk, and at the same time, you're just grilling up a steak and eggs. Imagine that. Have yourself a nice have yourself a nice eggs over easy with a good medium rare steak. Mm. Fuck, I wish that the road wasn't covered in ice right now so I could go out and get myself something. I want a steak now, dog. God damn
He's
it.
captured them and then built a Yeti park exclusively to hunt the Yetis. And then when the Yetis go extinct, he makes that a battlefield. I mean, what do I say? He's Saxton Hale. For 4 to 6 years,
Saxton
the Gravel Wars will
fucking
happen with
Hale,
these teams.
dog.
A lot is gonna happen. And even though they have an objective chronological order of events, it hardly matters. Plus, I forgot to write down the order, so I'm just gonna go in whatever feels right. Outside of the Meet the Team videos, the mercenaries do a couple of things to appease the public. One Christmas, the Blue Scout pile drives an old lady or something, and when they're on trial, the Blue Soldier causes so much of a ruckus that both of them end up in Elf and Malsantha, respectively. And just
Okay, that's a punishment. I don't know why you make these deadly, devastating mercs perform public service for children. That sounds a little unsafe.
to be safe, Blue Spy comes with them. While giving a little boy a haircut, Old Nick returns.
Oh! Old
Shouldn't
Nick.
do that anymore.
Oh.
Old Nick tries to abduct little Jack because he can, and in self-defense, Jack moseys on over and offers him a lovely scarf that makes him fall asleep in excitement. Throughout the Halloween, some more stuff happens. Erasmus will show up and cause a lot of problems, mostly over refusing to do the dishes, and because someone brought a vegetable dip with hummus of all things,
Hummus, why? You know you're supposed to do like ranch or blue cheese, not hummus, dude. It's ranch or blue cheese or get the fuck out of my house. Simple as that.
charcuterie board sucks if it has hummus as the best dip. Each year, new things will invade. Like Zephyriah will show up, the horseless headless horseman, and Demoman's other eye comes back to haunt as this monster Monoculus. I understand why you drink now, Demoman. Fortunately, at least one time Erasmus gets arrested because when returning to an expo, he discovers that Soldier made their home a raccoon sanctuary with an abundance of sour cream.
Okay, several questions. First of all, their home? Soldier and this wizard Marasmus live together. Secondly, raccoons and sour cream. Why raccoons and sour cream? That is an incredibly strange combination.
They're roommates, by the way. I just forgot to add that.
They are, in fact, roommates.
Marasmus threatens to kill him, but Soldier took the come back from the dead stronger pills, and then an officer arrests him for this entire fiasco. In 1971, there's expiration date. Red gets the weekend off after successfully stealing a briefcase.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is another short that I just haven't seen. I'll add this to the list then.
The team finds out that every time they used engineers' teleporters, the devices that they've been using for up to 4 years at this point, have riddled all of them with tumors. And they confirm this through the bread. I don't know how Heavy has never noticed this. So while trying to do something nice, Spy comes up with the idea to accomplish everyone's last wishes. But Scout does some shenanigans and nearly ruins the whole thing. But in actuality, he has a final wish to go on a date with Miss Pauling. After a montage, Scout basically fails all the teachings. So he just gives it
I would go on a date with Miss Pauling.
I'm convinced Scout probably didn't even graduate high school. He sounds
probably
the briefcase
not
missing alarm to summon Miss Pauling and wastes her yearly day off. Then Engie and Medic discover
yearly day off. God, what the hell, dude? At least I get like 2-3 weeks off. I get like 2-3 weeks of paid time off, dog. Like, 1 day off a year? I could never.
Hey, those aren't tumors. Those are just the green virus. And only
The what
bread
now?
can get the green. So as long as no one teleported any bread and never does it again, there will be no problems.
No problems.
Off screen, after getting a bucket as his last wish, Soldier was told at the start, and I quote, teleport as much bread as you would like.
Oh,
So for the past 70 straight hours, Soldier has just been teleporting bread. So the bread just becomes a giant monster. For over 4 years, this monster was roaming around Europe. I don't even want to think about what he's done if the military rejected him in every branch. Fighting happens, being bombed, explosion, death. Also, every game of TF2 is canon. You can't prove otherwise. And then,
I guess it's all canon.
It happens. Redman and Blutarch rent the Alamo
end of
and
they rent the Alamo.
It turns out Gray was the one to call him there, taking out his brothers once and for all in one fell swoop. And the gravel wars are over.
And now they're both dead.
No more paychecks, and with both teams' bosses out of the picture, all mercenaries are about to go home and pack up and leave. But then Miss Pauling reveals, oh wait, guys, Saxon got a new job for you. Just go beat up the machines. Throwing everyone back into work to protect Manco facilities from Grayman and his machines.
Interesting.
And they're only getting paid because robots run on money somehow. I feel like regular paper would be easier, but hey, that's fine. Heavy likes.
Why do they run on money?
Sandwiches. In this man versus machine
Sandwiches
period,
are
there's still
good.
more stuff going on despite both teams working together now. Medic figures out how to revive people within a 5-second rule, and the Man Brothers are back as
that's
ghosts.
convenient.
Now, technically, Blutarch won the Gravel Wars by 7 seconds, but since neither of them could do the paperwork, they gotta go to Soldier, who, might I remind you, is a lawyer, where he reveals the winner is whoever can go to an afterlife
I can't
last.
even
So the
think about
brothers
the
decide
fact
they're gonna send
that
each
he's a
other to
lawyer.
hell, and the Gravel Wars are back on for a little bit. Wow, cool. Despite everything changing, nothing has changed. This
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
period of man versus machine content takes us through a majority of 1972, and nothing would change until it didn't not change. Gray McMahon takes a step back and changes his approach to this new war. He surrenders and then challenges Saxton to the Manco Challenge, a fight that states if the challenger wins, they get the entire company.
That's a pretty convenient system. I mean, it's basically like a complete tangent to a completely different franchise. It's basically like how the Elites, the Sangheili's system of succession is basically like assassination of a leader in that society is just perfectly okay, because if a leader gets assassinated, they weren't fit to lead in the first place. So it's basically like that. You know, just whoever's the strongest leads the company. But I don't see how this scrawny old man is going to beat Saxton freaking Hale.
He declares Saxton will fight the current company CEO, and knowing that Saxton will only spare babies, Gray promoted his daughter to the CEO, making Saxton instantly forfeit and instantly ending the challenge, throwing away Manco.
I guess that's how you do it. Okay.
Like, could you imagine if Saxton just ignored it and, like, just threw that child out the window like a discus? This is the same story where people died over hats. It's not impossible. The tragic failure on Hale's part results in all mercs losing their job to AI. The administrator tells all of her employees to scatter and go into hiding, and this only becomes an issue for three of the
AI
characters.
menace.
Soldier needs to move out of his castle, and somehow his scouts helping him load his stuff. Soldier breaks both of Scout's arms. Now, right before Spy leaves, Scout asks for help attaining his savings at the Two-Fort Bank, and this turns out to be exclusively Tom Jones merch, thinking that his death will significantly increase the value of it. And this ends up leading to stupid bickering and the Two-Fort mayor trap.
God damn it. They fumble about and then just get caught. Like, did they think they were there to rob the place? Or is it just because they're notorious mercenaries?
The two in the bank, only letting them out if they agree to go to jail. Now, Scout, I understand falling for this, but how did Spy not at least attempt to leave? Was he setting a good example?
Like, how
did he want
how did
son time?
Spy
They've been co-workers
how
for
did
like
Spy
4
fall for
years.
this?
Scout seems like a good friend to see a couple times a month, but not really like living with him, contrary to popular belief. I'm not all too interested in getting arrested in New Mexico. Now
yeah,
it's late
that's certainly
1972
understandable.
to early 1973 probably. I don't know. I wasn't there. 6 months have passed since the team split and the
I saw that. I fucking saw that. I fucking saw that. That Venom meme. The 6 months meme.
The administrator has a plan in the main comic run. During all this time, Australium has been quickly diminishing, and there's not much left on the planet. Yet she somehow managed to net 89,000 tons of it. So
89,000 tons? How does she collect that much? I mean, they have been using it to fuel these immortality machines for however many years to fuel the gravel wars. So, I mean, they must be collecting a shit ton of it.
Miss Pauling is tasked to find as many mercs as possible and find any remaining Australian. So she looks for the red team and starts with anyone who stayed in the Southwest. Soldiers currently doing celebrity house tours, starting at Tom Jones's house, which leads to his death in the process.
Well, I guess Scout's kind of vindicated then. Okay.
Hardly matters. Also, Marasmus is Tom's current roommate, but
Marasmus just cannot catch a break.
Next, they find a depressed CEO Pyro at this place called Frontier Engineering, where his passion for arson is reignited by his pals. And Demo, he's just a sad guy.
Oh wow.
He just jumps back. He jumps back
Demo
in pretty
is
instantly.
just...
Next up, Spy and Scout.
Demo is going through
Miss Pauling and Pyro go to burn books as Grays on their trail, using all the resources and his own immortality machine to stop them.
Of course, he has his own immortality machine.
Trying to free their big old buds. They failed. So now there's a public execution, and before anything happens, Miss Pauling
I don't think they can do that.
Instantly convincing the town to give up. Thank you, Leadwater, for poisoning the town and saving
Good
the
old
day.
Leadwater.
And the team splits up to look for Heavy and Sniper. Pyro, Soldier, and Scout all go to Siberia, while Pauling, Demo, and Spy go to...
Real talk, I know it was absolutely 100% stolen music, but can I just say I really do prefer the Sonic 3 Michael Jackson tracks to the or I guess Brad Buxton tracks more accurately, since MJ had very little to do with it and just kind of like helped produce the music, and it was actually Brad Buxton who did a good number of the work, and he was actually the one in the credits. Because if you didn't know, some of the tracks in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 were produced by Michael Jackson and Brad Buxton, one of his producers / helpers on music. And one of them was a stolen track from a yet to be released track from a band called the Jetsons called Hard Times. And it was 1-to-1 with Ice Cap Zone. You know, I probably won't put it in this video just because I don't want to get copy struck, but you can look it up and there's plenty of comparison videos out there. So it is Hard Times by the Jetsons and Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3. So if you're open to look it up.
Australia. The Siberia team finds Amelia Earhart's place of plane crash, finding her remains in a hot dog suit, and after smuggling
in a hot dog suit?
They attract baby bears. This is when Heavy shows up and gives that bear a stern talking to.
Hi, Zeku.
This crew
Welcome
goes
to the
over
chat.
to Heavy's house, and Jana, I think that's how you say her name. I'm gonna say it like that.
Ooh.
Please don't
Jana.
yell at me. One of Heavy's sisters gets a boyfriend, and his name is Soldier. That's not Soldier's name. His name's actually Mr. Jane Doe. Oh, and then the
Jane
family
Doe
decides to go back to America because Siberia's cold.
Oh yeah,
and also
I can
cold.
imagine.
Right as this happens, the Australia team makes it to Australia, where they see firsthand how no Australium is a bummer for the populace, and the gang spends about a week in Australia.
Oh yeah, they look sad. They look really sad.
But while that is happening, Saxon Hale finds his ex working for Charles Darlin, where Charles offers to get Manco back in exchange for some Australian to keep the endangered animals alive. And then the other team...
Why is he keeping them on display like that? Those animals are depressed. Dog.
He makes it to Australia. Scout and Heavy are tasked with going to Ayr Rock, where they stumble upon Saxton and Maggie. This will be important. Everyone else needs to go to New Zealand, as supposedly all the last supply is over there.
Well, I mean, New Zealand is basically just like Floridian Australia, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know shit about Australia or New Zealand. All I know is that they are close enough to be related.
The only problem is that New Zealand decided to go underwater. The entire city is at the bottom of the ocean.
Why?
Because one scientist said so. He said the world was going to end. It didn't. To counteract this, Gray sends out a new team that's actually Team Fortress Classic, alongside the medic.
TF Classic?
A sloppy string slackleberry.
Okay. Oh, so the medic is just doing his thing.
Spy sneak into the Australian Navy and kindly ask to borrow a submarine.
Kindly neck snap. Okay.
Sniper nearly takes him out, and he found out he's adopted.
Oh!
But this means Sniper's all good with going to New Zealand, and the whole gang goes.
Well, it did make me question for a minute there. Like, if he's Australian, why doesn't he have a big burly mustache? That did make me question for a minute.
Goes on down to the underwater. Don't ask where Pyro was during this time. There was no explanation.
Pyro was just hanging out.
The crew discovers Sniper's real parents, revealing that he's not a true Australian, and that explains why Australium never gave him superpowers, and his real name is Mundy Mundy. I've heard Slurpees with better names. Also, it turns out Sniper's
Mundy.
parents also they're kind of dicks. His dad wasted all the Australium to paint test rockets to space, while his mom takes the last one.
Why?
And to rub like 14 pounds of salt into Sniper's big old flesh wound, his dad steals the submarine.
He just
never to be
yoinks
seen
it?
again, and then the classic mercenaries shoot Sniper, killing him instantly. When the classic team returns with the red team, Gray decides to do a final man-cult facility invasion where he gets the administrators remaining Australian until Classic Heavy thinks to himself, hey, I want to be immortal.
Sniper.
Why am I making this shriveled racing man immortal? So he rips out Gray's immortality machine, leaving him to perish and taking him out of the story as Gray's machines are about to do their invasion. Soldier and Jana are being interrogated by Classic Pyro until Jana removes her hand to blow up Classic Pyro. Pauling and Spire about to take some cyanide.
You know, very rational. Very rational decision when you're captured. Just hawk to us some cyanide into each other's mouths. Let's get right to it.
Until Heavy and Scout show up. Will who? But just kidding, it's Classic Spy and Demo. Then Soldier and Jana appear.
Thank you for the follow, Hot Grillo. Welcome to the HQ.
Show Classic Spy how to turn his head around like an owl.
Oh.
Jana punches Pauling so hard that kinetic energy knocks the Classic Demo Man to the ground, where the Spy chokes him with handcuffs.
God, the way the Spy is just looking at you there, you kind of just... You know, the only thing I do know is about Spy, completely unrelated, but the VTuber Saraway. She is a French VTuber, and according to her lore, the Spy from TF2 is in fact her dad. And looking at him like this, knowing the things I want Saraway to do to me, I can see it. Sorry if you see this, Saraway. I want to fuck your dad.
Across the base, Medic revives Sniper.
Oh,
as he
you can just do that?
Realizing how much his adopted parents love him. Once and for all, accepting his job not as a crazed gunman, but as an assassin. And when he wakes up, Classic Heavy just starts yelling. He sucks. He's a jerk.
Why is he just yapping? My man's just yapping.
But nearly gets all their blood removed from the blood-sucking robots.
Blood-sucking robots.
Because Demo Man, having an alcoholic withdrawal, has taught his vital organs to produce alcohol, meaning that it is running through his veins and poisons the robots.
Fun fact about that. Did you know there is an actual medical disorder that causes the body to produce alcohol? It's real. It's called autobrewery syndrome. I cannot remember exactly how it works. Let me look this up real quick. Autobrewery syndrome. Let's see. Or gut fermentation syndrome, a rare, often underdiagnosed condition where fungi or bacteria in the gastrointestinal tract ferment carbohydrates into ethanol, causing intoxication without alcohol consumption. So it's literally a rare disease where you just have like a fungal or bacterial infection in your like digestive tract, in your gastrointestinal tract, like your intestines, where it literally causes your body to ferment and produce like ethanol in your body and makes you drunk. There was this case where a guy was pulled over and arrested for a DUI, despite the fact that he hadn't drank at all that day. And it turns out, after getting medical tests done, he had auto brewery syndrome. So, a very interesting medical disorder that I know about. Just a random medical disorder that I can just name off the top of my head.
The final fight begins. Scout, Heavy, Saxon, and Maggie land from
Saxon
a plane
hail
with
for the
weapons.
rescue.
Cairo melts classic Scout and classic Soldier.
Thank
Spy
you.
and
I'm
Sniper
very
get
proud of my
classic MG
tail.
and classic Sniper. And on their way back, they stumble onto a near-death Scout.
Oh,
Spy
not
disguises
Scout.
himself as Tom Jones and announces how proud he is of his son going down this path. And Scout goes out smiling, finally knowing once and for all his father
Scout
was Tom Jones, but actually Spy. He doesn't die, by the way.
Oh.
This is TF2. The good
You had me feeling for a second there.
guys live forever. In heaven, God and Scout are home dogs. They have foosball tables. They send Tom Jones to super heaven, and Scout gets to revive him.
See you December 4th, 1987. Is that the bite of 87? December 4th, 1987?
Himself. Back on the battlefield, all the fighting is fighting, ending off with a Heavy versus Heavy fight. It's mostly going toward Red Heavy's win until Classic
Fuck
Heavy
him
puts
up.
on Gray's Australian
God, he
device
looks
and
demonic.
stains Medic's perfectly good coat with strawberry jam. Now, Medic was a German who was very likely in World War II, so he's going straight to hell.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean, there's no arguing that.
But during this time, Medic stole the souls of either the Classic or Red mercenaries, meaning that the devil owns only...
Okay, so he's just bargaining. So he's just bargaining with the devil because he owns other souls.
Only a ninth of his souls, but in exchange for 2 more of those souls, he gets brought back for 50 years. Now, Medic reveals that he stuffed baboon uteruses in Classic Heavy.
Baboon uteruses. What the fuck?
Which baffles him so much, it provides Red Heavy with enough time to pull out Gray's immortality machine, which drains the rest of the life force.
I mean, that's a hell of a bluff. That's a hell of a bluff.
Forever. And then it's revealed, during all of this adventure, Engineer's been with the Administrator, rationing the remaining Australium that they have and keeping
that's
her
where he's been this
for
whole
upwards
time.
of several hours. She only has about 6 months to live, and she just goes, I
fucking saw that. I saw that.
Upwards of several hours. She only has about 6 months to live.
I was trying to catch it. I couldn't catch it, but I saw it.
And she just goes, let's just ball. I don't give a hoot. And she
Fuck
goes,
it, we
all or
ball.
nothing, uses the rest of it at once, gives her 1 hour of youth. And man, the finale comic, the finale comic of this is crazy. It doesn't exist. There was no finale. Why does this keep happening? See, Valve, the creators of TF2, are very bad at finishing things. They like...
Valve, why do you do this? Valve, why do you do this? Okay. Thank you, Valve, for continuing to disappoint me.
Like making good games, but don't really like counting to 3. The last update for TF2 was 2017. That's over 6 years ago. Finish the comic!
Well, that's 9 years from now.
1 issue left, but no! We don't get to see it! We don't get to see anything! So here's what I would guess. I think Saxton would punch Charles Darwin in the face and refuse Manco. I think Elizabeth and Helen could be the same person, and she was going to destroy the Manco.
Well, I mean, they both have that same streak in their hair, so probably.
Legacy, which is why the story never escalates through the Gravel Wars. And I think all of the mercs would have found some new jobs, some together, some doing their own things, and in the end, it doesn't matter. TF2 mostly lives on via the community, who, you know, they got some good things like TF2 Classic, and then they got some bad eggs, like every community does. Treat others how you want to be treated, guys. Don't be bucket dippers. Be good.
Every community has bad eggs. As someone who has lived in the Sonic community, trust me, I know that there are bad eggs in every community.
People. Well, that's all, folks. Look at this sad statistic and feel guilty. Here's a gamer subs code. Hey, Tyler, there's someone behind you.
Is there any Tylers in the chat?
I hope that freaks someone out. Really? I don't have much else to add. All I could say is, oh, I don't know. Maybe, oh, I don't know. Finish the comment!
Well, that was the lore of TF2. Or at the very least, the incomplete lore of TF2. Apparently, after this video came out, they did in fact release the final comic in December of 2024. So, you know, it only took them, what was that, 5 years, 6 years, something like that? It took them some time. It definitely took them some time. I'll find some way to get around to watching that. If there's any lore videos about that comic, I'll get around to watching it. And I'll also get around to watching the expiration date video as well. But let me know what you think of this TF2 lore down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like on the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel, and ding that bell so you know when I upload, and it helps me out in the algorithm. And as always, I will see you next time at the HQ. Bye-bye.